Good afternoon. I'm Tracy Sinclair, and with me, of course, is John Thompson. We wanted to give you a brief update on the latest information about that fatal crash between an American Airlines jet and a military helicopter. Still not a lot of information that we're going to get, but John, you were just covering this story. Can you give us what's the latest from the inspect?
So about an hour ago, the NTSB held a press conference, not able to give out too much information, but we do know that they have yet to recover the flight deck recorders, so they're still underwater. There's about 7 feet of water from what we're hearing, the Potomac River. And that's, you're seeing right now, video of the crash. That was the impact right there, that fire explosion. This was last night, and that is a picture of the American Airlines jet that was involved. We do know there were 64 people on that American Airlines plane, 3 people in the military Black Hawk helicopter. The 3 Black Hawk helicopter military personnel, their bodies have been recovered. At least 28 bodies have been recovered. Overnight, it went from a search and rescue mission to a recovery mission, and we hear that there's about 300 first responders on the ground right now.
And so we were discussing earlier, you said that, again, the black box flight recorders have not been recovered, but there would be one for both the helicopter and for the jet.
That's correct. Also, a preliminary report from the NTSB expected within 30 days, so we'll know a lot more here soon. And they said they're going to be out there working until they're done.
And so just from an Alaskan standpoint, this is just kind of startling for us that we've had 2 military crashes across the U.S. We had the F-35 crash in Fairbanks on Tuesday, and then this devastating crash last night as well. Just as an Alaskan, how are you kind of feeling and processing all the...
I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, like, so I was talking to former fighter pilots, and then, you know, people who go in and do the recovery mission and have to do the investigating. So got a lot more information and a lot more knowledge as to how some of these things work. It's incredible what they have to do. So I'm watching this press conference with the NTSB, and us as reporters, we have to ask questions, right? But there is literally nothing they can say. So I'm always thinking as a reporter, what would I ask? How could I ask this question? And that's kind of where my mind is right now. And then of course, feeling terrible for these families. At least 14 people that were on the airplane were part of the U.S. figure skating team. And so their families, coaches, you know, little kids, teenagers, getting goosebumps. It's just terrible. It's a horrific thing. If you're tuned in tonight, 5 o'clock here locally, we do have a U.S., or I should say, Canadian Olympic figure skater who lives down in Girdwood, Keegan Messing. He's going to be coming into the studio talking to us a little bit about what this means for the skating community, because he doesn't know them, but you know, everybody's very tight in that community.
Well, and John did speak with AB, or BA.
No, AB, you got it.
Right.
Anthony Burke.
Anthony Burke, who is a former fighter pilot, and that is up on our podcast, In Depth Alaska. It was a really interesting conversation. This was, of course, discussing that F-35 crash, and it was just talking about training and the military training that these pilots go through. So I think it will be an interesting conversation. So if you are interested in that, please check it out. Now, send John back to his reporting duties, and I'm going to bring in a couple of guests from Washington, D.C. We have Neely Allen and her friend, Amanda Smith. And I introduced Neely first because, in all honesty, Neely is the sister of our managing editor here. So that's how we got in contact. And Neely and Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. You were able to go out this morning and take some video of the aftermath. Not, obviously, you can't get close to the crash site, but as people that live there, what's it like to see this unfold in your city?
It was very eerie having seen, being down there and witnessing it, being pretty close. It's a park. We were able to go to Gravely Point Park across the street from that area. Gravely Point is all marked off and taped off, and that's where they're doing a recovery and everything. So really just standing around with a lot of different reporters in that area, kind of taking it all in, watching the planes land pretty regularly. The airport is up and running, looks like a normal business and everything going on. But yeah, it was very eerie being down there and just kind of seeing that.
One of the things that I noticed is seeing some of that video footage that you guys sent to us is how close the planes are to that highway. At least that's the impression that I get. Is it really that close? Like if you were on the on the ground, would you have had a good view of the plane as it came through?
Yes, if we were actually able to get over across the street to Gravely Point, you are right underneath them. It's a very nice park there. I've taken my children when they were younger, and the planes fly right over your head. It feels like you could almost touch them at points. So where we were was a good 100 yards, 200 yards away from where you could actually be directly underneath them. So it is very, very close to the runway right there. We're having a little technical difficulties. We can't hear you.
Thank you. I turned up John's mic instead of mine. I apologize for that. I believe that one of you at least is part of a military family. And so when you hear something like this, my dad was Air Force, so I still feel a connection, even though I'm not Air Force. I still feel that connection when something like this happens. How does that kind of match and relate in your life?
Well, my little brother, he actually worked at Fort Belvoir years and years ago, and that was his brigade that was flying, the brigade that he was in, that was flying the Black Hawk, and he is currently living up in Washington State, and it's really rung his bell, so to speak. He's emotionally been all over the place today watching the news and just thinking, what if he was still back east working there.
Yeah, that's got to be quite shocking to have been part of that brigade. And one of the videos several of the videos that you sent, which again, we really appreciate you going down and looking, show a lot of press standing around. What's that like to just kind of now be the center of this major event in your city?
It was interesting to the both of us because usually DC there's hustle and bustle, and you can see people right now driving on the Parkway, but we had no traffic getting in and out of the city. It was pretty much like a ghost town. Amongst the camera men and women and reporters, there was really no talk or chatter. Everyone was just focused on, I think, what had just happened, and I think it has gotten everyone's attention, especially all of us that are from the immediate area.
That's got to be quite shocking to be to be so close to an event like that. How are you guys feeling today, having had this happen so close to your homes?
It was pretty upsetting, I think, for both of us, and we talked about that quite a bit when we were down there. You know, living in this area, flying in and out of that airport many times, that something like this has happened. It's really touched home for both of us.
Well, is there anything that I haven't asked that you think that we should know as people that are sort of on the ground and seeing it from that point of view? Anything that we should know that I didn't ask?
Well, in regards to the temperatures of the water and how cold it was last night, it wasn't as cold as it had been, for example, last week. But what the pictures don't truly show is the amount of ice that is still in that body of water. It just, in the immediate part that you were seeing a lot when the planes are flying over, there's not, and I don't even know if we did a good job of showing, oh, there we go. But there is a tremendous amount of ice, and I can only imagine once they hit the water how devastating it must have been.
Yes, I think there's another better video of the ice on the river, and I have to agree, I was not quite expecting that level of ice at this time of year. So yeah, just devastating all around. So Neely Allen, Amanda Smith, thank you guys so much, not only for providing us video of the scene earlier today, but also just for talking to us and giving some ideas. We do have people on Facebook sending their thoughts and prayers, and hope everybody's doing well on that end of the world. So we really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And thank you for joining us here on Alaska's News Source. Of course, this is a major story that we are following from various angles, and we will continue to have coverage tonight on Alaska's News Source and the latest on alaskasnewssource.com.